Hello, friends. How is everybody tonight? Oh, look at this, you guys. I really thought, I'm gonna be honest, I thought no one was gonna show up. But they're all here. Look at y'all, 10 of you. What? This is exciting, guys. I'm really excited now. I was like, no one's gonna be there. It'll be me painting too myself because I just posted this last night. So I thought no one would show up, but say hello. Nancy's here and Sandra's here. How's it going, y'all? Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, look at this. I can even share this video. Look at this. I'm going to share it. Write something. All right. We are live. How's that go? I put a period in the wrong spot, y'all. All right. And posts. Let's see how that works. I just shared this into the Family Art Time group, and we'll be live here. So who knows? Maybe we'll get lots of people to paint tonight. Who's going to paint along? I know I didn't put a picture. Lindsay's here too. Oh, y'all, I'm so excited. I didn't put a picture up until 15 minutes ago because I didn't have a picture till 15 minutes ago. Actually, I had a lot of pictures. Wasn't sure which one I wanted to do. So I've been playing, and now this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it together, y'all. Tell me if you're painting. Lori, I could just walk outside and wave. Hi, Lori. Love your hair and energy. The hair is crazy right now. It's hot in my house, or I'm old. I haven't decided yet. I think it's both. Kristen's here. Kristen, you're on the mend. I'm so proud of you. And Lindsay, good job. Oh my gosh, ladies, I haven't done this for a while, and I haven't done it on this page for a long time. So I'm so excited to see y'all here. I mean, virtually see you through the screen. I feel your energy through the screen, okay? All right, so here's what we're painting. We're painting a vintage little sunset. Y'all can do this any way you want to do it. You can make it, my mom's here. Mom, hi, how are ya? Oh, this is fun. So y'all can paint this however you want to paint it. I'll show you the vintage way of line art that I'm going to do it. I don't know. I was just feeling vintagey. I painted a bunch of sunset stuff and I was not feeling it. But I will tell you a whole different way you can do it, or we can just paint it this way. I'm going to paint it this way, but I'll tell you, if you're like, I don't want all those lines in there, I just want it really smooth and blended, I'm going to tell you how you can kind of achieve that goal while whoever else wants to do the vintage one that I'll be doing with me. Check out my fun earrings. Santa got me these earrings and the kids love them. I've never actually worn them, but they look like paintbrushes. So I thought they'd be fun for tonight. They're like big old fan brushes. Thought they'd be fun for tonight. So I'm wearing them with my sweatshirt because, we fancy up here, not down here. Why not? Oh, I was going to paint that in my mixed media pad, but tonight, y'all, busting out the canvas. Because I actually want to put this on my wall because I like it so much. So if you are joining in the fun, just say hello, chit chat. If you want to paint along with us, you are welcome to. If you just want to sit here and watch and chat in the comments and have conversation, feel free. Tonight is just about relaxing and having some fun. I'm thinking it's only going to be about an hour. Our paint parties that we normally do in the groups tend to be 2 to 3 hours sometimes, depending on how much fun we're all having. And I really think we can get this one done in just about an hour tonight. I think. The husband just laughed from around the corner because I said an hour, and he knows me. And that's what I say before every paint party. I think this will be a quick one tonight, babe. Hour and a half, we'll be done. He's like, so 3 hours later, how'd that go? We had fun. Oh, Miss Karen. Karen, I haven't painted with you in eons, it feels like. Oh my God. Have you been painting at least? Have you been painting? Nancy's laughing because she's been at those parties. She usually leaves, has some dinner, and then finishes up another day. I love it. That's what's so great about the paint parties, you guys. Do as much as you want at one time. Come back, paint again later on, right? I got tape stuck to my fingers trying to clean up my space. If you're painting with us, let me know in the comments so I know how many of y'all are painting along. If I go too fast, if you have questions, whatever it might be, just type them in the comments, okay? And I will try to see them and then get back to you. But feel free to ask any questions you want, even if you're not painting along and you think you might paint it later on and I've said something weird. I say a lot of weird things. Here's what we're using tonight. We're using a 1-inch paintbrush. 1 inch. I'm going to, says Nancy. Fantastic, Nancy. I love it. We might be done before you go for dinner. We might. I got a 1/2 inch brush. I barely use this, but depending on who you are and what you like, you might want this one. I ended up using a palette knife at the end. I'm going to show you how to use a palette knife because I love a palette knife. This is my baby palette knife. But you could also use a brush for it or credit card. Lindsay's painting too. I love it. So we're just going to have some fun. And I already have a whole bunch of paint on my palette because that's what I started with because I just painted this one 5 minutes ago. Nancy, yes, it would be good if we're done so you can eat and be done with it, right? But this will be up forever, so you guys can just check this out whenever you need to. All right, y'all, let's go down to the tabletop and we'll get painting because I could talk all night long. There we go. Look at that. Oh, I don't even have to have this here because the hubs put the picture-in-picture up there because he's really awesome like that. I'm going to move that then. He did. He put that picture-in-picture up there. So now I don't have to have like all my desk space covered with canvas. So here's what we're going to do. Pick any colors you want. We're going to start with the top portion and do that. And then we'll go to the bottom portion. Then we'll vintage it up a wee bit. All right. That's what I call it. It's technical that way. Grab out some white and some yellow. Karen says, I haven't since your last floral wreath one. Oh my gosh, that feels like eons ago. But I'm watching and hope to do it on replay. Fantastic. I love it, Karen. Okay, this white of mine is running low, so we might get some fun sound effects. We'll see. Gosh, the floral wreath, I want to put that back up. That'd be great for spring. I think I probably painted it in spring. I gotta get that out. We gotta put that one up. That'll be a good one to put up. All right. Thanks for the reminder of that too. That's usually, yeah, a springy. It's usually on my mantle. We just took down Christmas. I know. I'm putting out some yellow, and I've already got a little bit of orange. So when you put out the paint, just put out like about the size of a quarter, maybe a little more for this one, but a quarter is probably fine. You can always add to it. Yeah, we just took down Christmas and the kid's birthday, the husband's birthday, and my birthday. It's been like all decorated. So now I see exactly where that painting's supposed to go, Karen, and it's not there. It goes on my mantle. I have a cup of water and some paper towels just here. I usually grab, the paper towels, fold them in half because it gets kind of soggy when I paint. I'm going to take you can use a bigger brush if you wanted, depending on the size of your canvas. I'm using 12 by 16. And I'm going to dip in the old water just to kind of activate my brush, just to wipe off a little bit of that water. And then I am going to dip a little bit in my white and yellow. I'll be going back and forth between these kind of colors just for the top here. I find that craft paints and lower grade artist paints are usually pretty thin, and the white tends to help it be a little bit more opaque. So that's why I use that. Now you can have more water, you can have more sky, you can have it right in the middle, but I wouldn't ever recommend going exactly in the middle. Go either a little lower or a little higher. Mine's barely a little lower, but it's just weird to like divide it exactly in the middle. So I'm just gonna drop down a little bit because I want a little bit more sky than I want water. So I'm just gonna draw a little horizontal line right there. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're not going for perfection, we're going for human. See? If I wanted it perfect, I'd just print one out on the old computer. But I'm going for human. So give yourself a break and tell yourself, guess what? I'm a human. It's okay if it's not perfect. And that's all that matters. We're just going to have some fun. If you're working on canvas, make sure you go around the edges. When I work in my mixed media book, last time we did a paint party, I totally forgot to tell people who were painting on a canvas to remember to go around the edges until like the very end. I was like, so you might want to paint the edges. Whoops. Anyway, so I'm just going to mix a little white and a little yellow. This does not have to be solid, but we're just going to get it pretty solid. Like these vintage posters tend to be like one color here and then one other color here. They don't vary a lot. And if they do, they're like specifically broken up. If your paint is not gliding, grab a little water on your brush. I just dipped in my white and my yellow, slop it on there. Right now, I'm just trying to get a smooth coat of yellow, yellowy yellow, with a little bit of white. So this does not have to look pretty. It just has to look covered for the first layer, okay? A lot of people usually spend a lot of time on the background and then you end up covering a lot of it up. We're not going to actually cover a ton of it up right now. We're going to use some of this color, but we'll probably do like a little bit more of a coat. So we're just getting a lot of one color. And a lot of times when I do my backgrounds, I usually like to have a lot of variation in the background. So I usually would keep all the white tones and the yellow tones and not blend it as much. But for what we're doing here with this vintagey look, you want to blend it. Now, if you were not going to do this vintage look, remember I said I would talk about that. If you're not going to do the vintage look and you want it to be more blended and you wanted to use tones like yellows and oranges, I would put down kind of like we're doing here, just like one full coat of like the yellows, right? See how you can still see my whites in there? I've got to fix that up. But I would put in like, just put one full coat of that. And then if you wanted to not have that big sun in there and you wanted it just to be a little bit more soothing, you would do exactly what we're doing here, but play with your oranges mixed with yellows and maybe your oranges mixed with pinks or whites and just kind of go across and go from yellows to oranges to reds or pinks and then up to the purples and blues if you even wanted to get that far into it. Like I said, we're making this more vintagey, but for those of you who are wanting to maybe do just more of a soothing sunset, you could use this same technique. And when we move on to our vintagey technique here in a minute, and add in that big sunburst, you guys would just kind of paint up to the top with the colors we're going to use, but in a different way. So that's an option. So I'm just getting all around the edges. That would be yellow. I'm not going where I would have the blues for the ocean. We're just going to the very top and then the sides where this wraps around, okay? All right. So I have like one coat on here. And if you are wanting that blended look, not the vintage we're going for here, but more of the blended with the oranges and stuff, I would recommend you try to work quick so that your paint is still wet and they'll blend together. But you would do just like across like this and your colors will kind of blend. Just work back and forth between them. For the rest of us who are doing the vintage one, I'm just putting a more solid coat on here with just a little bit more of the straight yellow now. And you can go vertical with this one. If you're just making a solid background, you can mix up and go vertical or horizontal or whatever you need to get your yellows on your background. Or maybe you're doing like a blue sky and then you're gonna have a yellow sun on top of that. That would be really pretty too. Maybe I should do that next. Another day. I could have a whole series of these with different color skies, like different times of day. Okay, the reason I'm doing beach is because we went to the beach yesterday and it was the most marvelous thing. We don't usually go to the beach. We've lived here for more than half of our lives and we don't go to the beach. We're not beach people. We're not like, oh, let's go sit out on the sand with everybody, millions of people normal times, you know, and be really hot in a bathing suit and run into the ocean and play. That's not what any of us do. But we have been enjoying walks. So we went and we walked the beach yesterday. And I have never in my life, I don't even think I posted this yet, but I have never seen so many sand dollars. We've been tide pooling a lot, so we've been seeing some really fun creatures and all of that cool stuff thanks to a really fun class my kids have been taking online in marine biology and zoology and stuff. So we've been checking out the tide pools. They've been awesome, but I got a booger in here, hold on. But yesterday we went out and we saw, no joke, hundreds of sand dollars. No joke. We didn't even get to where we normally would walk, but there were hundreds of sand dollars. Some broken ones, some fully intact ones. We found one that was still alive, so we put it back. How many of you guys have seen a live sand dollar? They're not white, they're purple. Isn't that crazy? They're purple. Okay, so now I pretty much have a solid yellow. I'm gonna let that dry for a minute. So if you have any globs on yours, brush them in. You don't want any big old chunks, and you also don't want to be able to see your canvas through your paint. So you need to have enough paint on there that you can't see your canvas through it. If you do, it's fine, you'll be fine. But I have a nice kind of solid coat on there. I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna rinse out my brush. I just wiped off the excess paint in my brush, and now I'm gonna wash it in the water in my cup. And then we're gonna paint down here just a light blue. Okay, so I've got, my favorite blue is called phthalo blue. This one's from Blick, but this is phthalo blue. And I'm gonna mix that with a white and give myself just a nice light blue kind of background for the bottom here. And then we'll layer all the rest of the colors over the top, all right? So I'm gonna mix white with that blue, and that's what we're gonna do on the bottom. While this top dries, we're gonna paint down here, okay? Just make sure this line here, where they come together, is dry so you don't make green if you accidentally bump it. Where am I gonna make this? I'm gonna make it over here. So I'm just taking white with some of that phthalo blue. A lot more white. Whoops. That was a big mess of white. I need it really light. I don't really need dark, so I'm gonna actually add some white down here. See, I told you my paint was running out. That would be the paint's fault right there, y'all. Just to be clear. So anyways, we're gonna paint this on. If it's not gliding, add a little water to your brush. Like, see that? We don't want that to happen. So I'm just gonna grab a little, I just literally dipped in my water and wiped off the back edge so it wasn't dripping. And look at how much more I can spread this across, okay? So a damp brush is really gonna be your friend right here. So this is just gonna give us a nice background color to work on top of and kind of prime the coat here. And then we're gonna put colors over this entire thing pretty much. Okay, so back to the sand dollars from yesterday, y'all. Sand dollars were everywhere. There was hundreds, literally hundreds of them. And Finn and I were all about the sand dollars, and he was collecting sand dollars like crazy. We brought like one little bag, and it had his pair of shoes in it and my pair of shoes. So there was like, you know, 2 sets of tennis shoes, basically like water sock kind of tennis shoes, in the bag. So we had even less space in the bag. Well, Dylan was on the hunt for large shells, like clam shells, but that were larger. And so was Boston. And Boston was really enjoying finding the shells of like mussels and other smaller critters as well. But Finley was like all about the sand dollars because we have never seen so many sand dollars. Have you guys ever like seen hundreds and hundreds of sand dollars? It was insane. At one beach, they were everywhere. It was so beautiful. And so Finn was just running down the beach, and he'd pick them up, and then he would come back to me, and he'd rinse them off in the ocean, and then he would come and he'd put them in the bag. So he comes running over with handfuls, like literally handfuls like this, full of sand dollars. Full of sand dollars. He'd have like 12 sand dollars in his hand at one time. And he was really only collecting the sand dollars that were full still. Maybe it had like a tiny little hole. I think we only have about 5 that have a tiny little hole maybe, and those actually could have broken on the way home. We had 6 that didn't make it when we got home. They had already broken in the car because they were in the bag with, you know, all the other sand dollars and what was the other thing? Oh, the big giant, I mean, we had shells like this big that we're going to use for like a soap dish in the bathroom, right? We told Dylan that, and he's like, do you think we live at like a fancy hotel or something? We have a soap dish? You're going to need to get fancy hotel soaps now, because we just have like the junky pumps. So anyways, we totally were collecting these sand dollars, and I was like, Finn, I'll bet we have like 50 sand dollars. And then he found gobs more. And I was like, Finn, there's no way, but we will probably go home here with like 100 sand dollars at this rate. You are just collecting these things like crazy. And then he goes, my goal is 200. I thought that's hilarious. We're not collecting 200 sand dollars, but okay. It's not like we were taking every sand dollar on the beach. We left a ton of them there, and other people were doing the same thing. They were collecting too. They were in front of us. They were behind us. They were everywhere. And so, like, there was plenty of sand dollars. I don't want you to think we just, like, hoarded all the sand dollars. We got home, and we had a pretty full bag of 2 sets of tennis shoes and sand dollars and some clam shells, right? I think they were clams. I don't know. We had some other shells too, but mostly larger ones. Anyways, the kiddo and I counted. Sorry, that's the paint. I'm telling you, it really is. Okay, that one's empty. We had 185 sand dollars. 185 sand dollars, you guys. They're in my garage. I went out this morning and I was like, whoa, it smells like we brought the beach home with us. It's very smelly. It's not as bad as I thought it might be, but it's pretty strong in there. But we are going to turn it into like a really cool art project. So I'll post like how it goes in stages here, whatever we end up creating. I was thinking maybe like a tabletop. I've been wanting to learn how to do resin. And I started this New 52 group. Some of you are in it, I know. If you're not, you can join it. It's just New 52 here on Facebook. But it's just like about trying something new every week. Now, we found that a lot of us try new things all the time and didn't even realize we were trying new things. But it's also been really encouraging when people post what they're doing to kind of say like, oh, if they did that, maybe I could try it. Or, oh, that's a cool idea I hadn't thought of before. Let me try that. And also, just to get some feedback on what you're doing if you want, whatever. And to see like how many new things you're actually doing in life, which has been really cool. So a reason I started that group is because I really wanted to learn how to do some resin art stuff. And I knew that, I've been saying it for a decade that I want to learn how to do this, and I never do. So I thought, well, if I have a group that I can be accountable to, maybe I'll actually do it. So I think I'm going to try that resin project with those sand dollars and make like a tabletop or something. The goal was to make a white tree. Their teacher for marine biology had done a Christmas tree at Christmas time out of the shells, the sand dollars, and then like bleached them and Mod Podged them and stuck them all together. It was gorgeous. So we were like, okay, well, we have enough. We could probably make a tree. Now we have so many, we can make an entire tabletop and have shells everywhere and little stones in it, and I don't know. So now we got to really figure it out. But how many of you have actually seen that? That's insane. That many sand dollars? And there was still a ton left, you guys. It's crazy. But it was a negative tide yesterday, so that was nice. Negative tide. Okay. The top is pretty dry. The bottom is not dry. So for those of you who are painting along, if I go too fast, just let me know. But you can see that in the picture, we're going to put other colors of blues over this. Now, if you don't have all the blues that I have, that's fine. I'm going to be using a phthalo blue and some sort of a turquoise. This feels like it's running low, but a turquoise and a phthalo blue. And then I'm going to mix it with white. That's all I did to get all of the colors in the one up top. And then I have an orange, a pink. What's my pink called? Oh, it's just primary magenta. This is from Blick. There's a different pink I really love from Deco Art, but I'm out of it, I think. And then I have a cadmium yellow. Any yellow will work. A bright yellow would probably be fun too. But I have a yellow. In fact, I'm going to see if I have my bright yellow. There it is. Bright yellow. It's less orangey. Bright yellow is less, I don't know if you guys can see it. This bright yellow, it's like more lemony, and this is more orangey, more creamy. So, I don't know. I might throw some of that in there. It looks a lot more gray right now with the lights than it does in my actual house. So don't worry. Whatever colors you're using, they're going to work, okay? Right now I'm looking at this going, I feel like I want to paint a vase and some flowers, but that's not what we're doing. That's for another day. Okay, so while this dries, we're going to move up to the top. If it's not dry yet, grab out a hairdryer. I'm going to grab the flamethrower, as Finn calls it, which is my heat gun. And I'm just going to dry it up real quick. Don't hold your heating elements too close to your canvas because you could bubble your paint and burn it up. So I'm just going to kind of dry it up. You don't want to be painting on top of wet paint for this part. Because if you kind of put a boo-boo somewhere and you don't like what you did, you can wipe it off if you have a dry painted background, which is really awesome. So I want to make sure it's dry. So if I make a oopsies, I'll either have to work it in or I could maybe wipe it off if it's dry enough. And I'm trying to make these solid colors. A lot of times I want my colors to blend, but for this one, I don't want them to blend. So we're just kind of drying this surface. We don't want them to be blendy because this is vintage. Now, if you wanted it blendy, that's fine, okay? I'm assuming everyone's painting it, who's painting it, kind of vintagey like me. So I'm gonna make my bursts of my sun. Now my sun's gonna be like somewhere around here, and all my bursts are gonna kind of come out of it. I have 6 in the one above. I normally like to work in odd numbers, but it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 large yellow spots. So you're gonna have an even and an odd anyways. So I'm just gonna do 6 stripes, okay? And I'm gonna work with the medium tone first. So I have this yellow, and then I'll go with more of a medium orangey kind of color, and then I'll go straight more orangey pink. So I'm just gonna mix my color on the side. Like normally I don't usually mix my color on the side. I mix it more on my canvas. But again, because we're doing this vintage look, we need to kind of have solid colors, okay? So I've got about 1 part yellow to 1 part orange, but depending on your orange, mine's kind of a nice bright orange. It's called bright orange, I think. Yep, bright orange. You may want more yellow, you may want more orange. It's up to you on what color you want, okay? And then I'm just gonna eyeball these lines. Yes, you could take a ruler and you could make it perfectly straight, but again, we're people, we're not machines. We don't have to do that. And I'm just gonna go from somewhere in the middle out like that. I like to keep my brush nice and thin on the end. That is the big trick on making lines. So if your brush is starting to splay out, rinse it off, wipe off your paint, rinse it off, start fresh, and make sure it's not too splayed out. These brushes I love. They're from Addie's. They are on our website at craveartclub.com/supplies, and I love them. I've had them for over a year, and they, maybe almost 2 now, and they have not lost their shape at all, which is amazing for brushes, and I use them a lot. So they're really good quality brushes, and I think they're only about 15 to 20 bucks for the set of 10 brushes, I think. So I'm just gonna, if it doesn't glide, grab a little water, but you're gonna wanna make sure if you're on a canvas that you wrap it around your edges. And for fun, I'm gonna make mine just go straight off like they bend. Like they're in some sort of a weird prism sort of effect. I don't know. You know, where it's like that refraction unit that you did in like 4th grade or 2nd grade or whenever you learned about light. It's kind of where I'm headed with that. So I'm just getting like a solid coat of orange. You can always come back and do a second coat if yours is not getting solid. But at the end of getting the paint on, make sure you just go one big swoop from center all the way out so that you don't end up with brush marks in there, okay? Because sometimes you don't even realize it, but your brush will start here and then you get this funky line. It's no bueno. So I'm gonna come out here, and they're all coming back to under whatever sun's gonna be here in a little bit. And we'll just, so now if, let's say, I do like this, but let's say I didn't like where I put that. With a dry background, I could get a clean brush and some water, and I can just put it over that and wipe it right off, see? How nice that is. You can get rid of those lines if you work quick enough and you have your wet paint on a dry background. So just a little trick for y'all. How's everybody doing? What's everybody been up to? What's it like where you're at? We're still fairly staying at home minus our family walks and grocery stores. We still order online, but we're still ordering online and sometimes grocery stores. I prefer the order online. It's so much easier. You guys, guess what I got this week? My Cricut came in. Does anyone here have a Cricut? I got a Cricut maker because it was on super sale. And I got the whole bundle, and then I got like an extra discount. So I was like, I don't think it's ever going to be this cheap again until they try to like get rid of them all. So I'm buying it. So I did, and it was my birthday month, so I got a little treat. But I have no idea how to use it. So that is my goal for this week, is to learn how to use that thing and make one shirt. Karen, you love yours. Do you have the maker? Oh, do you have which one do you have? Let me know which one you have. I'm like wondering what I will make with it. I know I want to make shirts. But once I think I just got different yellow. Yeah, well, we'll see how that works. I just put bright yellow, which is not the color I mixed with my orange before. So we'll see. It's a little bit more green. I think it'll be fine. Might be too watery. It's fine. So I know I want to make shirts, and one of the selling points for me was when I found out I could use the machine to make like a silk screen instead of having to just make shirts with the vinyl, because I'm not a big fan of the vinyl on the shirt. That's kind of what had been holding me up. Download Cricut Design Space. So many fun ideas. Yes, I think Dylan did that for me. I was doing, I think I was in Bible study. And afterwards he goes, I set you all up on the Cricut thing. I was like, okay, I have no idea what that means, but I'll figure it out. So Design Space. All right, cool. I'm excited. It's going to be fun, but I'm glad to know that I can do the silk screening option. Now, I've never done silk screening either, so that'll be new for me. But I'm really excited to do it because I have a bazillion ideas for shirts that I want to do, and I just never get to do them. And then my ideas just go away. I'm like, well, I could paint it on canvas again, but I want to wear it. So that's what I'm going to do. And then my friend Bonnie, she has one, and she's like, you're going to love it. She doesn't have the maker. She has the other one right below it, Air 2, I think. The Explore Air 2. And she loves that one, and she makes a ton of stuff. So, but I'm not like a scrapbooker, so I was like, well, I don't really do paper crafts. Will I use this enough to justify buying it? I hope so. I'm also hoping that I can use it to make stencils for people and like maybe send them out as happy mail and welcome to the club mail and whatever. So we'll see. It should be fun. I also want, let's see, Kieran, have you done anything with the wood? Because you can cut wood on it, like thin wood, but you can cut wood with it. And I know you need the knife blade for that, so that's my on my list for Mother's Day. Like, I'm not going to buy that now. We'll put that on the list for Mother's Day. Lindsay says, I'm about to start the orange. My yellow background is still a little wet. You tell me again what I'm supposed to do so I don't have the brush strokes. Yes. McLogan Art Supply in Claremont has silk screens you can use. Love it. I was going to order one on Amazon, but I'll have to check that out. Thank you. Okay, so Lindsay, make sure your background is dry. And then, so like if I have gone through and done this, right, and I have strokes, make sure your brush is just a little bit damp and just start from the inside and drag all the way up. That'll just kind of give it one nice smooth finish, and you won't get all the brush stroke marks. Does that make sense, Linz? Let me know. Well, it's so nice to see you here. All right. I feel like I'm making a flag for a country. Does anyone else feel like we're making a flag for some country? I don't know. When I made it the first time, I was like, this feels like I'm making the flag for some country. I don't know which country has this flag, but I've decided I made their flag. It's going to be a new country. It'd be a pretty flag. The country of California. California becomes its own country because it has so many dang people, more than the entire country of Canada. Then we will have this as our flag. Yes, thanks, says Linz. All right, girl, you're welcome. You are welcome. And if you guys enjoy painting this tonight and have fun with this party, then this is kind of what we do on Saturdays often. I've taken a little hiatus because my kids really we just buckled down on school and had some really awesome projects. And as much as I love painting and I love my Saturday paint parties, I kind of just needed to focus on the kiddos for a bit, and they win. So we did some cool stuff with school. So now we might be able to chill a bit, and I can get back to making paint parties. I have, I think, 6 I posted the other day of painting ideas that we'll be doing. And now I just need to post them as events. So if you guys enjoy this tonight, then you will probably enjoy the paint parties that we do on Saturdays. And you can just sign up for those when you see any that you like. And if you have friends, it's a great way to still get to see your friends virtually. I know people who have been putting, getting their friends together for the paint party. And they all show up for the painting virtually and they type in the chat, but then they do Zoom with their friends or FaceTime or whatever it is. So they can still chat it up and feel like they're at a paint party. But it's been cool because one party we had people in, good gosh, where were they from? Costa Rica, Boston, and California. And they were all chatting with each other together so they could kind of still be together but be apart. Which, they would still totally be apart if not even for the stay-at-home sort of stuff we're in. Which, by the way, you guys, we have hit almost 365 days. Should I wait till it's super dry? It's a little sticky in spots. Lens, depends on how sticky it is. If it's real sticky, your paint, when you go over it, might lift it up and be a little bit chunky. So I would grab a hairdryer and blow dry it, or depending, if it's just a little tacky, then that's fine. You could put a stroke over it. If it peels up, then I wouldn't do it. I'd wait. Does that make sense? I don't know. It depends. It's hard to tell for me because I'm not there. So you kind of just have to feel it out. But if you do and you try to put a little stroke over it and your paint kind of lifts up and gets gummy, then wait. Okay? And if it does that, just dry your brush off and then take a little damp brush and kind of glide over it, very gently touching the surface without a lot of paint. All right, that's how you'll smooth it back out. Oh, right, we are going to move along. I'm on my 6th and final stroke almost for the rays of the beautiful sun. Again, beach inspired from my walk yesterday, though you would have thought I would have done some sort of a sand dollar, but we didn't. But that's all right. It's still beachy. I don't know why I was just in the mood for a vintage one. I was doing all different kinds. But like I was saying, I've got 6 new paintings I'll be putting up. We've got some flowers, we've got some landscapes, all that sort of stuff. See, now what I'm doing is my painting's too wet to take any more paint, and I don't like these stripes I have going in it, but it's not going to work. I got to let it dry, and then I could put another coat over it. It's just not going to accept the paint. So sometimes if yours is not accepting the paint you want, it's because it's too dry, okay? Or too wet, it's not dry enough. What am I talking about? So you have to kind of walk away from that. Right here, they're really bugging me, but I got to walk away for a minute, come to this one, and then go back to it. Is anyone doing anything fun this weekend? We still have to take our walk. It's going to be dark. We're doing 40 walks for 40 days for Lent. And they're all different walks, walks that we've not done before. So our sand dollar expedition yesterday was the best of the walks because it was flat. It was on the beach. One day we did tide pooling. That was fun. But when we did that, it was 1.5 mile walk. So it counted. Then we've also been doing hikes and things. Or neighborhood walks. But we're trying to do that for Lent because we got to get in shape. We got to get in shape. We got to keep these bodies healthy because good golly, COVID, right? It made us, not COVID, but quarantine. Thankfully not COVID for us, but quarantine has made us a little squishy around the edges and a little unhealthy. All right. We got a Peloton, you guys. It's not here yet. Anybody have a Peloton? Let me know. Let me know if you have a Peloton. We caved and we got the Peloton. I've been wanting one since 2019 when I first heard about it and did not get it. And then COVID made us do it. That's funny because we were on a walk the other day and some people, we were walking by a house and they were putting in, like you could see into their backyard. And they looked at us and they were putting in a pool. And I was like, oh my gosh, best decision. You guys are putting in a pool. That's so awesome. Can't wait till we have a house where we can put a pool in. And my kids would love that because they love the pool. But the guy looks at me, he goes, worst decision ever. I was cracking. I was like, no way. Because they just literally had the hole at this point. It's like it just dug out and they were trying to do whatever. And he's like, worst decision ever. So we were all laughing and his wife's over there in the corner. And I said, you'll love it once we all get to play in it, or you guys get to play in it, I guess. Once everyone's playing in it, you'll have fun. You'll be glad you did it. Right now, I get it. It's tough. And the wife looks at me and she goes, COVID made us do it. I was cracking up. I thought, yeah. I said, COVID's made us all do a lot of weird things. Now, it doesn't matter that my lines don't really come together great here because we're just going to make this into a big, round half circle. So, with the same color or with an orange or with a yellow, whatever color you want to put here, if it's going to be lighter than your stripes, you're probably going to want to put some white in here first to kind of block out those stripes you did. But while it's still a little bit wet, you're going to draw in your sunshine. We're going to put more colors into our rays, so this is like just one coat of the sunshine, okay? So just as best you can, and I use my brush straight up and down, totally vertical, to get that nice clean edge line. And just breathe real slow. I recommend not talking while you try to draw a line. It's easier. All right, I got 45 minutes to make it an hour and a half and get it done before Nancy's dinner time. Right, Nancy? 6:30? I think so. I think you usually leave us at 6:30. If it's 6, I don't know. But I did say it'd be like an hour. I did start about 15 minutes. Painting like 15 minutes into the hour. I thought it'd go quicker. Actually, I want that a bit bigger. I think I want that a bit bigger. See, so that's what you could do. You can't really go smaller, but you can go bigger. I think I want to go bigger. Go bigger, go home, right? And now my sun portion is actually going to be darker on the darker side, so I'm not actually mixing any yellow in with the orange. If your orange is too thin, you can always add a little bit of white to it and then just go over it until you get the color you want. Let it dry and just keep layering it. There we go. That is coat 1. Beautiful. Right? Right. I feel like I want my water up higher. Or this, maybe I just want this a little bit bigger here. What side did I do? Okay, I'll just make that with the next one. All right, friends. So once you have one coat on of your oranges, and you make sure you have this coat looking how you want it to look, because you're going to paint over half or a third of this now, but not the whole thing. So kind of what it is what it is. So if there's any spots you need to fix or go over again or anything like that, this is where you want to make sure that you've got it looking how you want it to look. Okay? Because those vintage posters, they're a little solid. I don't know what that harsh angle is there, so I'm going to fix that just a wee bit. I've got quite a harsh angle right there. We can fix that up a little bit too with the next color I'm going to do on that outer edge, but it is a little funky. Little funky. So we'll just, it's because I tipped it upside down to paint it and I was talking and not thinking. Whoa, I don't know what I've got going on. I don't know, my friends. Something funny. I'm just trying to kind of even these out a little bit because I didn't do a very good job of that while I was chit-chatting it up. There we go. All right, so it's a little more even. I'm gonna add a darker tone to this outside edge. Now you can decide where you want that darker tone to be. I'm gonna do kind of like the bottom sides, so both sides are gonna be like this rather than all the right side. But you pick what you want it to be on yours. You don't have to copy mine. It's just for fun, you guys. We're just having fun. All right, so for me, I'm gonna add a little pink with my orange. My orange is getting a little gummy, just a little bit. So we're gonna add a little more orange. I gotta have a little water. So I want this to be pretty dry because we're gonna put another layer on it now, okay? So you can use straight orange if you have a much lighter orange tone in here. Mine's kind of darker than I wanted. I don't know. How are you guys doing color-wise? How are you doing color-wise? Mine's pretty dark. I might lighten it up a little bit. I'm looking at my picture in the corner going, I wish this was a little bit lighter. So I'm going to add a little lightness to it. And that's what you can do when you paint. Just kind of brighten it up, lighten it up, wait and do extra layers. It's supposed to be just a little bit darker than your sky there. So now, once you have one coat on, I will tell you that your second coat is always going to go way quicker. So that's a better color for me right there. Yep. So I'm just going to put this second coat on. Your second coat always just like glides on. That first coat is always like a little bit too sticky and hard to maneuver. But the second coat is always better. And you also kind of know where you're going. You know, your lines are already there. So we're just gonna, see, I'm just lightening it up just ever so slightly. A lot of times also, your paint dries a little bit darker than it is when it's wet, and you go, oh, that's not quite what I was hoping for. So for me, just this left side really needs to get, or now my right side, because I'm gonna switch. But we're gonna lighten it up. If yours is light enough, don't worry about it. And I'm not even gonna worry about the edges so much. And then we're gonna make it kind of vintagey, so you're gonna put some white over random spots, so it'll break it all up just a little bit anyways. There we go. Your paint should be gliding pretty easily for you, especially going on top of a dry layer of paint. Yeah, I like that color. Mucho better. Some of you are like, I don't even, did it go lighter, Ashley? I don't know. Whatever makes you feel better. There we go. Ah, now you can see how it's going to start to change color there, which will be nice. Okay, I like that now. Now I'm going to get my darker tone, okay? That's where I'm going to have my oranges with my pinks a little bit. It's just a little bit. Little bit of pink, not much. All right, there we go. I just mixed a little orange and pink because I want it just a little darker. And on this outer edge, I'm gonna hold it vertical. And I might need to let it dry a little bit, we'll see, because I just painted it. Just gonna go up like part way. Yep, gotta let it dry. I'm gonna dry it with the torch. Dry with the torch. That's the hard thing about painting is just that you gotta wait for your dry time, y'all. I always think my painting's gonna go for an hour and it goes forever. My husband was right to laugh, I think. But here we are. So who's painting tonight? Is it just Nancy's painting and Lindsay's painting? Anyone else gonna be painting? McLogan Art Supplies, Karen. I've never been there. I should go check it out. It's not that far away. I was gonna go to Blick the other day, but I just did not. Mainly because everyone in the car's bladders had a different idea. And we needed to go home. It's like, Blick or bladder? Let's go with the bladder today. All right, so I'm just gonna paint up this side over here. Gosh, My paintings always come out better when I'm not teaching because I'm not talking. Oh, Karen said I grabbed my paints and I'm painting now. Why wait? Girl, right? You just get the bug and you got to do it. Like, why am I waiting? Now I want to paint. Everyone's having fun but me. I hear you. Well, welcome to the paint party then, Miss Karen. All right, so I'm choosing to go on all the right side. You may go on the right side, the left side, whatever you want. And then I'm going to do left side on these three, just to be different. Totally up to you. You may, for this, want to switch to that 5/8 brush that we had talked about in the beginning. You may want a smaller brush. I'm just going to stick with this one and put a nice thin coat of a slightly darker tone on this portion. It's just like about 1/3 of the stroke, okay? Just about 1/3 of it. Why not? Nobody here has a Peloton? I know I asked earlier, but my Peloton's showing up soon. It's going to be exciting. So I'm going to be fit. I'm going to look like I did when we started these videos a year and a little while ago. I went back and looked at like early COVID videos. I was like, I looked a little bit different. Just a little bit. Man, you guys, for Lent though, aside from doing our walks, I gave up pasta and bread and cookies. I'm a real grumpy lady now. Oh, my poor family, pray for them. I did. I gave up pasta, and my husband makes pasta all the time, but he makes the best sourdough bread. It's so good. And then he makes sourdough pizzas. And today he made buttermilk sourdough. 5 raises, totally fine, Linz. Yep, totally fine. However many you want to do. You could do 75 if you really wanted. It's your painting, love. But yeah, so my husband made buttermilk sourdough pancakes with chocolate chips this morning. And everyone was sitting there eating them, and they looked amazing. Normally, I'm the one making the pancakes, and it was like, this time I don't even have to make them, and I yet cannot eat them. Everyone's like, they're so delicious. Never had them before. I said, well, I will never know. And Dylan goes, I'll make them again. I'm like, I'm really trying to be good at not eating this stuff. Because, you know, especially as us ladies get older, it seems to be harder to get rid of yesterday's sourdough, buttermilk, chocolate chip pancakes that wanted to stick around. So, I don't know. I'm going to try. I did good. At the beginning of quarantine last year, that was Lent, was my thing, was like give up the pastas and the breads and all that stuff. And I did great, and I felt healthy and great. And then it was like COVID stuck around, you know? And so you're like, it'll only be here for 40 days and 40 nights, I'm sure. And then that passed, and you're like, it can't be more than 60. And then that passed, and you were like, I'm going to eat every cookie I can find. And I did. So now we also still have a whole bunch of Girl Scout cookies in the boxes, in the house, in the garage, in the everywhere. And I can't eat them, y'all. It's like torture. You want to torture me? That's what you do. Give me cookies and tell me I can't eat them. I mean, I did it to myself, so I can't get that mad. But I love the cookies and the bread. I had a salad for lunch. It was miserable. I had a miserable salad. I mean, it was tasty, but it was boring. Had 2 sweet potatoes for dinner this week. Just loaded that up with sour cream and cheese and butter, and I'm sure that was healthy. Probably the sourdough bread would have been the better choice in that matter, but oh dear. All right, so we got some colors on there. Some colors. Now I'm gonna make my sun, I'm gonna do another coat on my sun. So you can make your sun lighter orange, you can make it more yellowy, you can make it more pinkish, you could make it a big red ball of fire. You do whatever you want, my friends, because it's your painting. I'm going with a little bit darker than the color I just put on. It's really actually going to probably look exactly the same. But we'll see. We shall see. All right. Anybody seen any good family movies lately? I need to find some movies to watch with the kiddos. So if you have Disney Plus, we've been watching the Inside Pixar is what I think it's called. Inside Pixar? It's like a behind the scenes with Pixar and like what it's like to work there and the different types of jobs. And one of them was about a pastry chef. That was awesome. And it gave us this idea. So for the summer, we're going to watch a different movie every week, maybe Friday or Saturday. I don't know. We'll watch a different movie every week, and we're going to theme our meal and our desserts. See, if I can get back to desserts, to that movie. Because that's what they do there. When a movie comes out, then the pastry chef, she's one pastry chef for the whole place. And she has like over 200 people that order pastries every day. And she has to make all of them. And, you know, they're not all just eating one, I'm sure. I know I wouldn't be. That would be what I'd order for lunch, and then I'd have the salad to look pretty as the side. But she does. She makes, like, these really cool ice cream sundaes that are inspired by a movie, and it, you know, just has the colors or a little hint that looks like magic on it or whatever. And so we were like, oh, my gosh, that would be so fun to have like a meal a week that is planned around whatever movie we're going to watch and just make it a whole big thing. And then that's also creative, you know, which is all of our like passions in this house. So that'd be fun, I think. All right, we've got our rays on there. I know mine need a little bit of work, but they're good enough for now. Like this right here is going to bug me. Probably made it worse. There's one weird spot right there, y'all. You see it? It's right there where the paint doesn't want to stick. Got a few of those. Whatever. We can always go back. You can always go back once we get this basic stuff in and I show you kind of how to do it. If you want to work on it like throughout the week and you're like, you know what? I want to make this even lighter. I want to make this a little bit straighter. You can keep playing with it. That's what's so awesome about it all. Okay? I do that a lot. Okay, so now we're going to look down here. This is totally dry. We're going to look at how we can put in all of our, my finger's under it, all of our water and our waves and all these different tones, which will be really, really fun. This is just kind of acting like a background. Lindsay says, I am slow, as you know, and ready for my son. Good job. Do I make it the same color as the first color I did in the race? You can make it any color you want, my love. I went darker. So I had my yellow here, and then I went to a yellow orange, and then I went to mostly an orange with just a touch of pink, and then I went to more orangey pink. But you don't have to. You could make this a yellow sun, you could make it a white sun, you could make it a red sun, you could make it a pink sun. Whatever color you like, make it that color. Does that make sense? Let me see if I can find my what I did here. Yeah, I did my other one, same thing. I went darker with that version too. But see, we're gonna kind of like break it up a little bit with a palette knife or a credit card or something, just to vintage it up a little bit in the end. To break it up, and the lines that we're gonna put around it with white are really gonna make it not look so boring, okay? It's gonna take it to the next level. I like to take it all to the next level. Okay, so did that help, Lindsay? You get to pick. You get to pick what color you want. I went darker. Oh, I already have this. Beautiful color. So I'm going to use a turquoise and phthalo blue. Those are my favorite. Oh, you know what would have been cool? Oh, I'll just use these. But I have this really cool phthalo green that is so beautiful for watercolor. That's a really, not watercolor paint, but a color for water. The phthalo green is really nice. Nancy, we might lose you. I don't know. I'm hoping I can get it done. It might just be line work that we're working on at the end. When you have to go have dinner. All right, so my paint is getting a little bit thick. This is also why I'm not as big of a fan with the Blick acrylics as I am with the craft paint for paint parties, because they dry up real quick and they're thick. I also like the other ones because they dry up real quick on your canvas, but they're thinner, they glide more. So anywho, Yes, I will play around with it. See, that's what it's all about. Good job. And Nancy's still here painting. Awesome. Good, good, good. Yeah, just play. This is all about experimenting. You know, it might come out amazing the first time, but most of the time, it might take a few, and that's fine. All right, so I'm going to pick some areas where I want different colors. And we're just going to play with like one color, and then we'll go to another color, we'll go to another color. And I'm going to work in these kind of like wavy shapes. Now, I'll caution you not to just make the same pattern over and over. That's the hardest part, is to tell yourself like, oh, I'm making a pattern. I don't want to make a pattern. So that is the hardest part, is to remember to not work in a pattern, okay? So just keep reminding yourself, is it a pattern? Did I break it up enough? Okay, so I have some phthalo blue here. I have some white, just a little touch, like a 1/10 of white to my phthalo blue. And use whatever color you have available, okay? But again, I'm gonna get my brush nice and thin by just getting the paint on the sides and not getting it all the way lodged up here by the metal part. Just keep it like halfway down your bristles. Then they'll stay nicer. And I actually want this to go right along my sun area, right at that horizon line, okay? And yes, on a canvas, it is going to wrap around the edges. Now, if you realize you forgot to do this whole time and you didn't wrap around the edges, you can always just paint your edges one solid color at the end. Sometimes I do that, where I just take like a nice deep blue and go all the way around, or a gold or something fun. And then I'm going to take and kind of just wiggle my brush wherever I think I might want to. That's it. And then we're going to fill that in. Okay? We're just going to fill that section in. So it's kind of like a little paint by number here for a minute. And if your paint is too thin, you can add a little bit of white to it. If it's too thick and not gliding, put a little water on your brush. But we're trying to get somewhat solid colors, right? Because we're going for that vintage look. Now, if you are not going for the vintage look, you can just kind of think about how these colors are going in different areas and be mixing a little bit of white with a little bit of blue and kind of putting it in wavy, and then add a little bit more white to it, and add a little more blue to it, and add a little more green to it as you come towards the front. You can just kind of do that, and you're blending left to right all the way across, just like we talked about at the beginning, if you're not doing this vintage look, if you're just trying to kind of paint a sunset, right? On the sea. A sea-like sunset. So who else? Anybody else still painting? Let's see, who was here in the beginning? Who has stuck around? Sandra, are you still around here from Summerhill, Pennsylvania? Gosh, what's it like in Pennsylvania right now? If you're still around, let me know what it's like in Pennsylvania. Let's see, Pennsylvania. No, that's not. New Jersey. I've been following One Funny Mother. Go back over the blue, please. Yes, I will. Kristen's still painting. Okay, good, good, good. See, a lot of people paint and they're quiet, and then I'm like, I don't know, maybe they left. Good, I'm glad, Kristen. Awesome. And Nancy, go back over the blue. Okay, so I just took the blue, and I'm going to take like a 1/10, like a little corner of white, just because my blue is a little thin as far as transparency goes. So if yours is a little thin, just a 1/10 of white, just to make it a little more opaque. And then you're going to, I just did a line right across the sun at the horizon line there. And then I did a little bit of a wavy bit and filled it in. Now I'm going to take somewhere else where I think I might want some more blue. And remember, we don't want to mimic exactly the same thing, but yours is going to look totally different than mine right now. So don't even worry about trying to put it in the exact same spots. You can go all the way across from one side to the other, or you can decide maybe I want it to stop here. And I'm just going to have a little water section that comes in here and is going to be blue here. So we're going to do this same technique with like 4 different tones of blues, the blues and the greens, and then we're going to outline it all in white, okay? If you if you need a reference, just look at the picture in the top corner up on the computer screen and kind of see how those go. The goal is that we're going to outline this with a white line. So we do want them to come together and make these thinner spots because that's where we're going to be able to put our white line and divide it up and get those really fun lines. Now you might choose to do black outlines. You might choose white outlines. That's up to you. I like the white because it reminds me of the foam on a wave, right? So we're going to kind of get some of these weird areas in there. Okay, it's going to be weird at first, and then we're going to add in others, and you can paint over them if you realize, oh, that was too high, but now I want it greenish. That's fine. You can get there. Don't worry. And don't forget to do your edges. Okay, so now I might take one from here, and I might just want a little bit of a small bit there. You are going to make these your shapes. It is a little bit weird at first. And this is probably the most challenging bit of the game tonight. And we're just gonna kind of create all these little color blocked areas. And then those will become our waves, okay? So if you don't want them as curvy, you don't have to make them as curvy. If you want them more curvy, curve it up. It's up to you. We're gonna grab that color. I told the kids, it'll only be an hour paint party tonight. I really think, I just painted this in like 45 minutes, you guys, right before this. And then it never ends up there. I don't know what the difference is. Oh dear, so silly. All right, so we're just gonna kind of come through. And it doesn't even have to start at the edge. Maybe you don't want it to start at the edge. And if your lines in the end don't meet up exactly and your white lines are in kind of funky places, it's okay. You can manipulate it, you can change it, you can paint over little bits here and there. You might see things you want to tweak, and that's okay. Like I might come back in with this and be like, oh, I wish the green went a little bit over where that blue is right now. Then I'll just paint green over it. That's fine, okay, once it's dry. That looks like a mustache, so I'm gonna have to fix that situation. Doesn't it look like a mustache? We're gonna go all the way to the edge because of the mustache feel. I cut everybody's hair today in the house, except my own. Last time I cut my own. Today was hair cutting day at Salon de Mom, that's what I call it. Every boy in the house got a haircut, including the tall one. That'd be the husband. I feel like I've been creating stuff all day long. New looks for 3 people. And now a painting. Has everyone else been cutting their household hair? Who else has been cutting their household hair? I can make this go all the way across. This is gonna make me crazy. That's gonna make me crazy. We're going all the way, people. My hair keeps falling in my way. My kids have never had anyone but me cut their hair. So they don't even know what it's like. And honestly, at this point, they're like, I'd be nervous to go to someone else to cut my hair. Most kids are like, I'm nervous to have my mom come near me with those scissors. Well, that's a weird one, but that'll work. Oh boy. All right, so then we'll just get one down in here. And you might want more of the darks in the back and more of the lights in the front. It's totally up to you. So you could stop with the dark blues way back here and then only add the greens and the lighter blues up closer. Who knows? Who knows? Only you get to know. No one's got anything fun that's going on this weekend or anything? We're cleaning out the garage a little bit more to make room for that old Peloton, y'all. Excited for that. But then that means that I actually have to work out. Because if you're going to pay for that thing, we've never really paid for like a gym membership. When we signed up for the gym at 24 Hour, it was $50 for the entire year. And then they canceled our membership for some random reason. And they were like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll put it all back together. And when they put it all back together, they didn't give us that deal that we had originally had because it was like 20 years old. So then we just quit the gym. So I figure, I know the Peloton's way more expensive than it should be, but I figure we've never done it. And if it's really going to mean that I get in shape, then we'll do it. Because I got to have that competition. That's the thing with the Peloton. You got to, I need competition. Since I was like a competitive gymnast growing up, I just think it's just who I am, y'all. I need competition in life. My children, nope. I don't know. They did not get that trait from me at all. Sadly, they're fine with it, but like, come on. All right. So I think I'm pretty much done with my dark blues. Now, you can go over this and you can, make it very nice and very smooth, and in a perfect world, I would do that and it would take me a little bit longer. But like I say, your second coat is always going to go on nice and quick. It won't take nearly as long, okay? And it always does look better if you want that solid color to just go over it that one more time. See? That way you don't get all these different variations, which variation is usually what I'm going for in a painting. But with this more like vintage, it's supposed to look like ink, right? This more vintage look. Solid is the way to go. So we'll just throw a little bit of a coat, not too much on all of it. And then I'm just going to add in a little bit of, what do we think? Should we go with lighter blue or should we go with the blue-green? Maybe we'll go with the blue-green next. Yeah, we'll go blue-green next. And then we'll go with the greens and the whites, okay? Since I already have this blue in my brush, I'm just gonna add a little bit of white and green to it, because if I just add the green, I think it's gonna be too dark, and I want this blue to be my darkest dark. So if you're working with a blue that you feel like is a middle tone and not like a dark dark, and you wanna have something darker, you might just mix like a turquoise with your blue and not add the white to it like I'm gonna do. But I feel like this blue is pretty dark, so I'm gonna add a little white in my next color. So you pick, because I don't know what colors you guys are using. You pick, also, you could always add, if you want a little purple in it, you could add a little purple to your blue and make it darker. You could add a little orange to your blue and add a 1/10 of orange to your blue, and you'll make a darker blue, okay? Because orange is the complement to blue. Since orange is not made up of any blue, then it's the complement, and then it will make a darker tone, okay? It's a little color theory for y'all. Oh, look at that, it's looking pretty, you guys. That one little bit of just making that a little darker is huge. That second coat, love it. All right, so I just wiped off the excess paint on my brush. I'm not washing it. But I do kind of want these colors to be, you want your paint here to be pretty dry, at least on the edges, because when you go to put your next color in, you're gonna go right up against those edges and they'll blend together if it's not fairly dry. I can see that's dry. I can see I've got some dry spots and wet spots. So I'm gonna avoid the ones that are still wet, and I'm gonna go for the ones that are still fairly dry. So I'm mixing the turquoise and the blue to get a color that I like, and I'm gonna add just a bit of white to lighten that up. Oh, that's a good sea color right there. Oh man, I think I want my phthalo green out instead of my turquoise. The phthalo green, you guys, is so pretty. Should I try it? I'll do this color now and then I'll get the phthalo out. We'll see. Then you guys can at least see what phthalo looks like because it's pretty. So I'm gonna keep this again. If your paint is starting to be like really wide and blobby and you're like, why is it not working? It's probably your paintbrush. Don't worry about wasting the paint. It's probably your paintbrush that you're fighting. So wipe off the paint, wash it real nice in your cup, dry it off so you have a nice fresh brush. And then get the paint back on it again and just kind of smooth it out on both sides, wherever you have your paint, So you have just that nice clean edge. See how thin it is? Then I hold it vertical, and I'm going to look for spots where I might want this turquoise color to be. And I'm just going to go put it in. Maybe like that. Oh, see, now I can see my color, my blue is coming through. I didn't wipe off enough in my brush. And then we're going to put that turquoise color in, okay? And then we're going to have lighter colors, and you're going to get all these different tones. So don't worry, just fill them in. There we go. All right. I might even add a little bit more white into that, so it's just a little bit lighter. I think I want it a little lighter. We're going to put it over here and see. Yeah. And so this blue color that I have on the bottom, if it's a color that you really love, then you can leave parts of it that color. I don't love it. It was just kind of a base coat for me to work off of with all these other colors, so I'm probably going to cover all of it up. Okay? But if you like that, you can just kind of use that as your second tone and just kind of pay attention to where you're going to add in these other colors. Okay? So for me, not having a lot of contrast between these two is fine because I know that color is going to get covered up. But what you're trying to create is contrast between each row of color that you pick here. And I think I want that to go up a little bit. So see, I just went right over that blue a little bit because I wanted this to go a little higher. That's all you have to do. You're like, oh, I don't like the shape there. Paint over it. Totally fine. Okay, so we're just gonna go through with this for a little while. And you can go all the way across like you did with a lot of that blue maybe, or you can just pick little spots where you want this color. Make sure it's gliding. That's huge for this part. We want it to glide. And it doesn't need to be a super thick coat, okay? A thin coat is just fine, but you're gonna wanna kind of put it in all the different areas. So you have it, you know, throughout your painting. There we go. I need to make up just a little bit more. There we go. That's a little too blue. I always like to make the whole color one time and then not have to go mix it again, but sometimes we're not so lucky. I can't wait to get the phthalo green out and show you guys what that is because it's really cool. And you might want your greens to go across the whole thing, or you might just want them to kind of stop and tuck behind here. It's totally up to you. That was weird. Oops. All right, Kristen, how's your painting coming along? Nancy, have you left us for dinner time yet? It's almost that time. You got 10 minutes. What's for dinner tonight, Nancy? Anything exciting? Nancy made me this most amazing lip scrub that actually my kids are using also. So the whole family is loving it. But it's so delicious. So delicious. What was in it, Nancy? It's honey, coconut oil, sugar. I want to say there's one more thing, but I don't think there is. You just want to eat it, really. You just want to eat it right out of the jar. It's so cute. That point is really bothering me, but that's all right. We're going to put a little bit in here. Now, I know the hard part for me right now is that all of this looks like it's the same tone, and you guys are not seeing much variation, and that's bothering me. So I'm going to work with this one quick because I don't like when you guys can't really see the difference. I can see it here, but I don't like when it's harder for you guys to see it on the screen. So we are almost done with this color, and then I'm going to get out some lighter green. Well, it's a dark green, but I'm going to add white to it and see what happens. It's called phthalo green, and it's really pretty. It's kind of like, reminds me of like if you go see the water in like the Bahamas or Jamaica or somewhere beautiful and tropical. Slightly different than the water of SoCal, right? Let me grab it out of here. Where are you, green? Oh, there you are. See? Oh, it's going to be pretty. Where am I going to put it? My palette is disgusting. Let's put it up here. Oh, look at that. It's like swampy. Nancy says, I'm here, but I might paint over this. Honey, coconut oil, and sugar. I was right. Okay. Oh, Nancy, just have fun with it for a bit then. Oh, you're having Trader Joe's Indian dinner. That sounds delicious. Manfred worked at the golf course till close. Oh, all right. We were just talking about golfing today. You know, I am not a golfer. No, thank you. But Dylan, he was like, oh, I can't wait till we can golf again. I really just want to go back out and golf and take the kids out to golf. I'm not a fan of golf, but I know you guys golf quite a bit. So Manfred works at the golf course. Look at this phthalo green. How pretty is that? It's like an emerald, you guys. It's so gorgeous. You could add a little blue to it, but I want this color just for a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of white. He's home now. Got to run. I'll have to come back. Bye, Nancy. Thanks for hopping in. And thanks for my present again. You're awesome. That was so cool to get that little present. All right, so I'm going to show you what this cool phthalo green looks like. So now we're just kind of trying to fill in. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. You're trying to fill in those spots that are still left with that background color. Oh, that's a pretty color, you guys. I like it. I do. So I'm going to break this up with a white line there, so don't worry, that'll change shape. Let's go a little bit bigger there. And when we do all of our outlines, it's gonna kind of start to take shape. Before the outlines, it all looks like a hot mess. So like Nancy said, I might paint over this. Don't say that until after you get your lines all done in, and then you can say whatever you want to say. But I will say when I did it, I was like, oh dear, this is not my favorite. And then when I got the lines in, I was like, I want to paint this for my wall because I like it. I did it in my my little mixed media book before, so it was not wall worthy as much, but now it's going to be. So I'm still gonna go in like 1 or 2 more shades of blue here. We're going to get just lighter and lighter and lighter. Okay. And then that way we get all this variety in here. And then we're going to use a palette knife or a gift card or a brush or whatever you want to use to kind of add some vintagey texture to it so that it kind of looks like it's worn and older. And has a little scuff marks on it a little bit. Or like the ink didn't print fully all the way. I'm going to add just a little bit more white to it. Oh, and hope I did not just put yellow in that. I did not. Okay. That phthalo green, I like it, you guys. It's pretty fun. It's very like, I don't know. It looks like ocean water, which I like. Since we're painting the ocean, y'all. Has anyone been to where the water is like this green color? I saw it in La Jolla one time look like this green. And that was right at the beginning of COVID, like right before it started here, you know. It was so beautiful. I took pictures. I was like, I've never seen green water out here. But my friend Roberta, she took pictures the other day and the water looked green out near her. And I was like, we got to go check that out if that's happening again. I feel like the plant life and the animals and everything. I mean, I know this whole situation has been hard for a lot of us. But I feel like our animal and our environment has really, our animals and environment have really thrived without all of the people destruction. Anybody else feel that way? I feel like that has been, if we're going to look for blessings, then that has been a blessing for sure. Is my mom still here? I know she hopped on for a second, but I don't know. She was like, I'm here, and then I haven't heard back. I don't know. Let's see. Y'all are hanging in. Good job. It's a fun one. Karen, how is your painting going? I know you started a little after us because you thought you were going to just watch, and then you were like, I can't watch. I must paint. I don't blame you. I would have done the same thing. All right, little extra paint there. And is anybody having a hard time making these curvy bits? I know it's kind of weird and it all starts to finally come together. Karen says, so therapeutic. Oh, good, I'm glad. Sometimes I wonder. So I think it's therapeutic, but sometimes I wonder. My mother-in-law, I've told this story before, but she said she was not a painter. She makes wreaths, and she does these really cute wreaths. And I told her like a year ago, it was Christmas time, I said, you should paint with me. And she's like, no, I mean, you're the artist. I don't paint. I do wreaths. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but I think you'd enjoy it. She's like, no. And so she didn't for a long time. And she had access to all my paintings because I have the Crave Art Club too, and she was in that. And I said, just do the painting. She's like, no. So she didn't. Oh, good. My mom is here, and she's just watching tonight. It's looking super cool. Oh, thanks, Mom. And so, so she said no a bunch. And then finally, one time, she's like, all right, I'll do the painting tonight. And she did, and she hasn't put the darn brush down since. And the other day, she says, I'm doing art therapy, or she's like, this is my therapy or something. She's like, I have a prescription for it, but it's called receipts. Because now she has like a whole little art section set up, just like my mom does. A whole art section. Who needs a dining room table when you have art supplies, right, ladies? Just get rid of the table for thinking you're going to eat at it. And just let's be honest with ourselves. We're going to paint at it. That's what a table's for. Eating. Who needs to eat? So it's been fun. It's been fun to see people who thought that they weren't into art realize that it's so therapeutic, right? Just like Karen just said. So therapeutic. You're like, yeah, when I turn the volume down, Miss Ash, and I can just put my music on. I can't open this darn white, y'all. It doesn't have the little perforated spot. Hold on, I gotta get scissors. And then if I cut my finger off, someone call 911. I did that one time. I don't know if you guys have seen this video. I did a video. It was one of my first Facebook Lives. It had to have been 5 years ago. Wait, we lived here for 3 years. Oh, it was only 4 years ago. So we had the husband out of town, and the kids and I were home. And anytime the husband was out of town, because now he works from home, but when he was out of town, I would always ruin something big time. Like, it was bad. I don't know what. I just have bad luck. I would break something. It would just be bad. The dogs got in a fight once, and I was like bit to pieces. I think I'm going with more green. I'm going a lighter green. Okay, so I'm going to keep my phthalo green or a turquoise, whatever you've got going, and I'm going even lighter by adding just some more white to it. And then I'm going to go into a few more spots. And if there's something you painted that's too dark, too light. If there's something you painted that you don't like, just paint over it right now. You know, pick a new color and paint over it. No one says you can't do that. Anyway, so my kids wanted to get into a coconut. They wanted a coconut, and they wanted to try coconut water, but they wanted it out of a coconut. Then Boston just walks in, he goes, this story again? Yes, honey. But I wanted to make sure I didn't cut my arm off or something, and I knew my kids weren't going to pay attention. We tried to get into this coconut. I have this video somewhere on my Facebook page. But I was like, how is anyone going to know if I cut my hand off? Like, you guys aren't paying attention if I all of a sudden chop off a finger and I'm bleeding to death. So I Facebooked it. And I was like, if I cut off a finger, then you all will call 911 and send them to my house, right? Because I'm cutting into this coconut. It was like I had to use like a machete. I don't know. It was so hard. Does anyone here, have you guys cut open a coconut? Or am I the only one that cut up a coconut and thought this was like ridiculous? I needed a chainsaw to get into it. There's got to be a trick. I watched videos and they showed how to cut open a coconut and it was like, open. That did not work for my house. It did not do, open. They made it look so easy. And they just like tapped it and the top popped off. Right, Karen, so hard. So by the time I had finished trying to cut open this coconut, all like the coconut outer furry part had fallen into the coconut. And so it was like, had all these chunks. So we had to like strain the coconut water. And then they wanted to drink it out of the coconut. I was like, you guys are not going to like this. They're like, yes, we will. Yes, we will. She says, go to an Asian market because they have open coconuts, or what's at the Asian market? I need to go to an Asian market because they have better food. I said that to Dylan the other day. I was like, we just need to shop at an Asian market. They've got good food. But they sell them where all you need to do is pop a hole in the top and stick a straw in. Shush, are you serious? That's what I should have done, was just got a drill and drilled a hole in the top and been done with it. It was ridiculous. So ridiculous, you guys. But my kids tasted it. They hated it. It was like a big ordeal for something that nobody liked. And then I was like, all right, so how can we make it likable? It wasn't. We tried to put it into a smoothie. We tried to mix it with other things. It was gross. Every time we had the kids tasting it, and that's the best part of the video, is their faces are like, no, it's still disgusting, Mom, still gross. I tried with a screwdriver and a hammer. It was so hard, right? Oh my gosh, yes. It's so hard. And then just to get that bit of coconut water, just buy it in the bottle already. Tastes like soap. Terry! Hi, Terry. How are you? Oh my gosh. Tastes like soap. It's disgusting, isn't it? We ended up trying to mix it like with Nutella and peanut butter or something and like make a shake out of it. It was still gross. Like you couldn't improve it. But then there's those people who just like drink coconut. I just drink coconut water. They gotta be crazy. I mean, some of you might be like, no, I love coconut water. What's wrong with the coconut water? You know, it's like me saying I enjoy drinking the apple cider vinegar I drink in the morning. I don't. I know it's healthy for me. I know it's better for me than other things, but it's disgusting. I try to hide it in my lemonade, which is full of sugar. So I'm sure I'm taking many of the health benefits out of it. But it still somehow makes me think I'm doing something healthy for my organs. But coconut water is just gross. It's like eating, do any of you guys like those? I'm not judging, okay, I'm just saying. Any of you eat the seaweed, the dry seaweed stuff that just like makes your teeth like have like, oh no, serious? Lindsay says, married to a Mexican for almost 20 years. I'm not, oh no, married to a Mexican. I know that part. And he's amazing. But he grew up near coconut groves. I learned a long time ago. Did you learn a long time ago how to get into the coconut or that they're disgusting? Because he's got to enjoy it, right? Like you probably have coconut milk or water or whatever it is in your house right now, Lindsay. Do you? I could only have one food. No, don't even tell me it's going to be coconut water. If I could only have one food for the rest of my life, what would it be? That's a good question. Please don't tell me it's coconut water or coconuts. Is it, Lindsay? Look, I'm over here like, I like coconut flavored things in my lotion. I also like coconut flavored things, I guess, but it does make me feel like I'm like at the beach, like to have coconut smells. And I love it in my lotion. I don't love to drink it. I like it on my Girl Scout cookies. Those are the best kinds of Girl Scout cookies. Those darn Samoas, they're delicious. But I don't like the texture of just flaky coconuts. I don't know. Am I weird? I know I'm weird. That was a rhetorical question, I guess, but rhetorical statement, not a question. Oh, and Lindsay, we have to, wait. How to get into it. I love them. Do you drink the water out of it? It's like an acquired taste. Oh, Lindsay, you're going to have to teach me how to enjoy them then. And Lindsay, why don't you go on and post a how to open a coconut video? How long does it take you to get into it? It took me 45 minutes, I think. I had people watching. They were like, this is hilarious. This is so ridiculous, Ash. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, you guys. I love the smell, but not the texture of shredded coconut. I agree with you, Terry. I am right there. I do like the way coconut tastes, and I don't mind the texture. I don't know how you do that, but I really don't like the coconut milk or water, whatever it is. Mom, I know you like German chocolate cake, and German chocolate cake, that's what the texture's from. It's got that coconut in it. So weird. I know, because I think I tried to make you one for your birthday one year, and I was like, I don't know about this. But I know she loves German chocolate cake. The Germans messed it up with the coconut bit, but I don't even know if did Germans make German chocolate cake? Who actually made it? It's probably like the Spanish or something, right? You know, like French fries. They're not really from France, are they? I think they're Americanized. They've got chips or something. The water's getting there, people. The water's getting there. How's your water getting? Is it coming to life? I would like one bit of light blue. So I'm going to wipe off my greens. Look, my husband was right to laugh at me earlier and say there was no way this was going to be done in an hour like I thought. But for everyone who's not been to one of my paint parties, this is what happens. We get to chit-chatting, we get to having fun, we get to painting, and it's not an hour. It's a couple or 3 sometimes. I haven't had German chocolate cake in mega years. I know. I think the last time you had it, I made it for you. It's been a long time. So I could leave these blues, but I want to get this lighter a little bit, just for a little more contrast. That might be too much. I have to see. I think it's a little too light. I'm going to add just a little bit more blue back to that. Because my white lines, I want to make sure those stand out. So, going to get just a little lighter blue in here. Maybe a touch of that green, that emeraldy color in there, just a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, I do think so. Less than a 30, oh my gosh, wait a minute. Lindsay says it takes her less than 30 seconds to get into a coconut? Are you kidding me? Is it pre-started? Like when you ask someone to, you ask someone to open the peanut butter jar, except you already started it for them. And they're like, boop, done. What? Less than 30 seconds? I need to watch the video. Okay, but see, here's the thing is I did watch a video and they did make it look easy. They're like, here, all you have to do is do, pop, done. It didn't work. I was like, I don't believe the videos. I used to work in TV and film, you guys. And I know how commercials lie. Trust me, I had to literally shave his arm for a hair removal product because it didn't work. And we had to shave his arm and then put his arm hair on a separate towel, cut between the two. Totally fake. That's when I was like, yeah, commercials aren't real. I mean, I don't know. I probably thought that before that. But when I actually was the one having to do it as a production assistant, like, that's false advertising. I think that's illegal, actually. But it's Hollywood. I'm going to put one of these up here, I think. Oh, the movie magic. So you really can do it in 30 seconds. Gosh, Lindsay, you're like Superwoman. And it's like probably no big deal for you. You're like, hey kids, want a coconut today? And they're like, sure. And you're like, boop, done. Here's your coconut for lunch. My kids would be like, no, Mom, we don't want to wait until next month for lunch. So just find a few spots to put the lighter colors. The cool thing over here is it looks like this kind of wave is folding over because the top dips down and the bottom dips down. Kind of looks like it's folding over, and this looks like it's kind of the crest a little bit. So I'm just finding maybe 5 spots to put this blue. I have 2 out here, so maybe I need one somewheres in the middle, right around here, I think. All right. We'll do that. My water did not come out vintage, but I'm digging it anyway. Kristen, that's okay, girl. As long as you're enjoying it, you just do it however it's going to be. As long as you like it. That's really the whole point. A lot of times my paintings, I sit down, like the other night I sat down to paint and I had a whole different plan and my painting just took me somewhere completely different. And that's all right. Let it happen, because you can always paint a vintage something another time if you want. I'm just calling this vintage. But if not, the whole point is that you're just enjoying the process and you're learning and you're having fun and you're trying something new. That's really the whole point of all of it, you guys. And that we get to do it together is what I love. It is. I'm really enjoying tonight. I honestly thought one person maybe would show up, probably be my mom, because my mom is nice like that. She shows up for me. But then you all showed up. I was like, when I just posted it last night. I was like, nobody's going to show up. I'm posting this way too late. And y'all, when I hopped on it, my husband was like, okay, it's time. You got 8 people here. I was like, what? Already? Like, I haven't even sat in my chair yet. He had just finished setting it all up. So that was cool. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. All right, so I am cleaning that out. Look at that. Look at that. It's so fun. All right, we're going to get the line work done. Now, if you have a Posca pen, that's a paint pen. Any type of acrylic paint pen. Y'all are laughing at me. Someone was angry at me. But if you have a paint pen, those work really well for line work. My paint pens look like this. And they're much easier to do line work with. They don't give you a brush stroke quality. So if you want to have a brush quality, you're going to need to use a brush. If you want just straight lines like you're drawing with a marker, make sure this is completely dry and then use a paint pen. This is an acrylic paint pen, so it dries just like acrylic paint. I love them. They're fun. I have links on my supplies page on my website, but I can't guarantee that they go anywhere right now because everything's so sold out in the art world. But I know they sell them at Blick, and I know there's another brand, my friend Sarah. If you follow Art Ventures Minnesota, my friend Sarah, she has been using, I think they're called Artesio brand. I think that's the brand she's been using. But she's been liking their paint pens. Now, I've seen them for a while on Amazon, but I have never used them. So I didn't want to say they're good until I use them, but she says she's really been enjoying them. So you might want to check those out. I'm trying to clean off my brush. Now, you may want to use a 5/8 brush for this. You may want to use the 1-inch brush. It's totally up to you. I will say you could use a liner brush. A better liner brush is longer and skinnier and would do a better thin line. I have a trimmer and I shake too much to be able to do good lines with brushes like that. So I always use a flat brush. But you're going to have to pick what you want. And you might want to practice somewhere else with your lines for a little while. Like on a paper towel. Not a paper towel, a paper plate or your foil. Or like me, I have this board here. So practice your lines before you just go put them in is what I'm trying to say. And the skinnier your brush is here and the nicer you keep it, the better your lines will be. You will not like the end product if your brush gets splayed out too much. Okay? Especially with a round brush because they're thicker than you think they're going to be. So, that being said, I'm going to take my white. I have no clean palette. Hold on. Let me grab a little more foil. Liz, I saw that you said something. Let me grab some foil and I'll check that out. Something about a coconut. Easily, on a young coconut, the white ones, I've never seen a white coconut. Look at the flat side bottom. There's a flat side. I thought they were round. Okay, wait. I know there's ones where the people carve them off and they sell them in the store where the whole brown part's been carved off. Is that what you're talking about? Okay, look at the flat side bottom. Looks like a little face with a few holes. Yeah, like the bowling ball part, right? Carve into the little holes. One will open up, and if you carve it a little more to make it a little bigger, you can pop a straw into it. See, there you go. Once you are done drinking out the water, take it outside on the sidewalk or concrete and slam it on the ground. I didn't know about that part. Go just throw it at something. Okay. Slam it on the ground a couple of times. That's like how monkeys open things. Lindsay, next time you go open a coconut, you've got to video it and do a live. Or just invite me over so I can sit across the street and watch you throwing a coconut onto the ground until it cracks open. You can also take a sharp big knife and saw it open. That's what I tried to do. From a few inches down from the bottom side you drank from. If this makes sense. Yeah, that's what I tried. You better send me a video. I want to see you throwing it. What do your neighbors think? It's like, Lindsay's like, oh yeah, I can get into that coconut 30 seconds. I'm just going to throw it on the ground 4 times. And then we're good to go. Lindsay, when you go back and teach, will you please do this for your kids at school one day just for fun? They would love it. Here's Miss K throwing a coconut. What'd you do at school today, kids? Miss K threw a coconut at the ground. We all got a piece afterwards. Does it split nicely in half? Or I feel like it's going to be shards everywhere. Oh, Lindsay, I love you. Okay, so I'm going to take and go up. This is where we're going to make this real fun, okay? So I'm going to go up my stripes here. Now, I may go up a whole stripe, or I could always just go part way and then stop and go a little bit more. Doesn't have to be the whole solid thing, right? But I'm going to kind of do this. And I don't mind a little bit of a wiggle in this one. I'm not going to make it totally straight the whole time. Lindsay, Jason needs to make a coconut opening song. Coconuts and avocados. We should ask him to do that at the next show. Like when he asks for a request, we'll just say, can you do a song about opening a coconut? Him and Billy could make a whole song about how to open a coconut. That would be hilarious. If you're talking about the brown coconuts, those aren't the young ones. They aren't nearly as delicious. It's kind of like humans, right? We're just getting a little old, a little older. Not as good. I mean, it was brown coconut. I thought coconuts were brown. Other than like, I saw the ones that looked like they were already able to be opened. Like they had already carved the brown part off of it in the store. We got them, I think, at like Barron's. But my kids were like, no, I want to drink it out of like a whole brown coconut. Because, wait, what? Funny you mentioned that. I have. When I run into students years later, they tell me that's what they remember about me. Lindsay, I love it. You got to do it. You're the coconut teacher. See? And what a great thing to be remembered for. Not the teacher who taught them how to read, because you do, or write, because you do. The teacher who opened the coconuts. I love it. But that's cool, man. That's what gets kids to remember their childhood. Like, I don't remember all the things I did in elementary school, like in my classrooms all the time. But I do remember we had a cool frog jump contest and we had to make soapbox derby cars and all that stuff. I remember some of my teachers that did silly fun stuff like you. See, that's what you got to do. Okay, see, now my boring sun already looks a million times better, you guys. Was it not driving you nuts for a while? Like, oh, this looks terrible. So Nancy, when you tune back in, don't say you're going to paint over it yet. Do all the line work first. Do all the line work. Now, because this is dry, I can tell right now that my lines when I came into here went too far in. I'm going to just take a wet, damp brush, clean brush, just with some water, and just clean up that edge. I know I'm going to paint over it, but I don't know that I'm going to paint over it quite far enough. So I'm just going to clean that up right there. See? Now we have no little pokey bits. And I'm going to take this, and the harder you press down with your brush, the harder you press down with your brush, the wider your line will get, like the thicker. The less you press, the thinner it stays, okay? So if you're getting all these wide lines and you're like, why does mine look so crazy? Don't press so hard with your brush, or clean your brush. Your brush might just need a good cleaning. There we go. I'll text you a picture of one. Sprouts has them She's sure of that. I also have an Asian market right up the road, like Karen was saying, right? And they'll have them. Then come by and roll it over to me from 6 feet away and I'll open it for you. I love it, but the water inside tastes disgusting. Okay, I'm gonna have to get a juvenile one because then it'll be better, right? Oh, I'm gonna have to do that. I'll get a juvenile one. I'll drive over it with my car a few times. That should open it up. I know, that's what homeschool moms gotta do when you're having a real hard day with the kids at home. Kids, I gotta take it out on a coconut. We're all having coconut juice. You're gonna drink the coconut. If you make me angry today, you go outside and you slam coconuts on the ground. That's what we gotta do, ladies. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same sort of thing, and you can have a solid line or a broken line, whichever you prefer, okay? Whichever you prefer. It will be amazing, says Lindsay. I love it, Lindsay. Okay, so we're gonna do the same thing down on these waves. This you may want the smaller paintbrush for, the like 1/2 inch, 5/8, whatever. You may want that for this, just because we're kind of twisting and turning. But again, my whole painting, you guys, I've pretty much left my paintbrush vertical. Now, see how this is like one full blue line going all the way across. It's not broken up. I'm gonna break it up with these lines here. So I'm gonna come across here, and then I'm gonna kind of feel like, oh, there should be a wave here, and then come back down. So now this becomes a wave and it's broken up. Does that make sense? I hope. So if your paint does not glide during this process, and you probably will need to do 2 coats of white. If your paint is not gliding, get it a little bit damp. You definitely don't want it soggy because it'll just be drippy on your page when you're trying to make lines. And you don't want that. But you do want it to glide, okay? So this is the fun part, y'all. We get to make all the little lines, and I'm not really even pressing down with my brush. I'm just letting the bristles barely touch. And make sure your bristles are, your brush is nice and smooth. We're gonna have to do our nighttime walk in the house. This is our first day in 11 days we've missed our walk, you guys. Okay. Whoops, got a big blob over there. So I keep checking the end of my brush. Normally you would really want to like just smooth it out on your foil or whatever your surface is, but I keep checking and making sure my brush is not getting too thick, and it's doing pretty good so far. Because like I said, these Addie's brushes are amazing. They're so good. I love them. And again, they're on my website if you're looking for brushes. CreativeArtClub.com/supplies. What's up, Finn? Finn's here, y'all. Finn's here. What's up, Finley?
How long until you're going to be done? Because we have our walk.
I was just telling them about our walk. I know we're going to take a nighttime walk. Can you find flashlights?
I don't know where any flashlights are.
Ask Daddy. Then we'll have a fun flashlight walk. Okay?
Okay. How long until you think you're going to be done?
I don't know. Maybe 20 minutes?
Okay.
We're just doing all of our outlines, okay? And then vintaging it up with some palette knife. All right. See how it's starting to come together, y'all? So nice and pretty. There we go. So you just have to go over all these little lines. And like I said, you're probably going to want to go over them twice. So I won't go over them twice live, but I'll probably go back and go over them again. Because it's got to dry, and then you can go over it one more time to get that nice bright, bright white finish. Okay? And if you don't like where something is, you can just paint over it. Like, if you're like, oh, I like this, but I don't like that color, just go back, paint a new tone over it, and you'll be fine. And like here, I just dipped and gave myself a division, okay? Because that was one solid big old piece of blue. And I didn't really want that one to be a solid piece of blue. So fun. See, it really changes up a lot. Once you get, I mean, you got to block in all these colors and do all of that, but the line work really does make the biggest difference in the end, I think. And sometimes it can make it or break it, you know, like in a good way or a not so good way. It's really about making sure your brush is nice and thin when you're doing those lines. And lines are not the easiest, you guys, okay? So don't worry if it's a challenge. Just keep practicing. And if you're doing your lines on top of dry paint and you have wet brush, wet paint, and you put a line where you don't like it, quickly you can grab a baby wipe and gently wipe it up. Don't scrub too hard, but you can wipe it up. You can get a damp paper towel and wipe it up. You can do the brush trick I was showing you with a damp brush to wipe it up. And try again. Okay? And if you really don't like it, you just paint a new color over it. But hopefully you guys like it. And when we finish these, if you guys want to share on the page, I would love to see what you guys come up with. When we have our paint parties on Saturdays, usually, everyone shares in the group and everyone is so encouraging, which has been one of my favorite parts of the Saturday paint parties, is that everyone's just so encouraging to each other, which is awesome. And it's been really fun to see everyone share their paintings. We have from beginners, we have kids, we have adults, we have everybody, whole families painting together. So everyone's invited to all those parties. And a lot of times parents think that the kids, it's like going to be too hard for the kids. And the kids actually, it's not too hard for them. Mainly because kids aren't so worried as adults, right? They're not concerned that it's not going to work out exactly perfect. They're like, I had fun. It's fine. And I decided to paint with all different colors than she told me to paint with. And I decided to add a monkey surfing on a surfboard. No joke. I had kids that would do that sort of stuff in school and I loved it. Sometimes I would have teachers who were like, she said just to paint this, which I get. But when it comes to art for me, I loved that whatever, they felt like it needed a monkey surfing, put a monkey surfing. I'm okay with it. And then, you know, it's a great way, if you are a teacher, to kind of inspire creative writing, right? Because you can have them do their painting and then write a whole story about whatever they just painted and tell us what's going on and why and what's the day, what's the setting, what's all, you know, you can go through the whole thing with them. But it's really fun. All right, we are almost done and I'm kind of rushing these edges here. Ooh, that was weird. My brush is doing weird things. So now my brush split itself like in half there. So I'm having to rinse my brush out, like I keep saying you might want to do, because it's starting to make weird lines and I'm not liking it. So we're going to just rinse it out, start fresh, and go again. Okay? So if you have to rinse your brush, that's okay to do. Just when it starts being funky, it's asking you for a break. It's like your kids when they start getting crazy and they're like, I just need a minute. Give them a minute. They'll be better afterwards, and so will you. All right. So now you got to do the edges. Where all those bits come together. Make sure you get those edges. And like I said, you're probably going to want to go over all your lines one more time. I'm not going to do that live because it'd just be boring for you to watch me paint over the same lines we just painted. But you'll probably want to do that. The last step is going to be the palette knife or gift card, or you can use the side of a paintbrush, but you're going to have to just dab it off a lot. But this part's really fun. Oh, and don't forget to do your white lines up here too. I forgot to do mine. I'll do those later, because you don't need to watch that part either. All right. I think we done did it, y'all. All right. Look at the water came to life. Isn't that nice? So make sure you do get around your edges with your white. Last fun little bittle. All right. So I'm gonna use some white paint. Gold would really be fun on this as well. Just like a little nickel size or dime size even of paint. And I have a teeny tiny palette knife. You can use a much bigger palette knife. You can use whatever you want. But we're gonna dirty this up a little bit. Now, if you like it the way it is and you don't wanna dirty it up at all, you don't have to. But with a palette knife, I would just dab it in and then you're gonna dab off most of the paint. Now, I'll show you how to do this with this, and a credit card can work too. So I have, or like this is a gift card from Chipotle, okay? It's all used up. You could dip this into your paint and then dab that off, cut it into any old shape you want. And then you could do this and make sure I'm doing it right. You can run this down your canvas and it'll dirty up as well. So you can use one of these. I would recommend you just bend it, right? You can also use the side of a paintbrush and kind of just make it, you dab this, dab it off, and then run this along your canvas. That's an option, but I prefer a palette knife. I got a pack of these. These are metal ones. You can get them also on my website, but you can get them for about $5 or $6 for a pack of 5 of them. There's plastic, there's metal. Between like $5 and $10. Totally worth it because they're awesome. I know Nancy had been playing with them. She's like, I'm not sure I love the palette knife. They're not for everyone, but I will say practice with them a number of different times before you give up on them because they're really kind of a cool little tool once you get to know how to use them. So see, I'm just going in to rough this up just a little bit. Just a little bit. And I can do it on the orange if I want. I can just do it on the yellow. But I like kind of dirtying it up a little bit like this. And when you get to the edges, if you're using a canvas, you'll notice that the knife picks up along that wooden edge a lot easier than it does kind of on the canvas. So just be careful around those edges. But you really don't want a lot of paint. That's the thing, is a lot of people use too much paint. You're like, there's nothing on there. It's like all gone. That's what you want. And then you're just gonna kind of, this is where my trimmer comes in handy because my hand kind of shakes a lot. So it can just skip across the canvas a little bit. And you just kind of play with it. So we're just kind of dirtying it up a little. Have any of you guys used a palette knife before? Let me know in the comments if you've used one and if you like them or don't like them. I love them. I did an entire painting for my husband for Christmas with a palette knife, and I really enjoy using them. So I did that part. That's kind of fun. That's kind of heavy, but I'll try to balance it out with something down here, I guess. So like I said, if you do this and there's something you don't like, as long as your paint underneath is dry, you could take a little baby wipe and wipe it off. But this is just kind of fun, right? It just kind of makes it a little bit crazier. Now I'm gonna get a little bit on that sun, then it looks like it's got a little shimmer to it. And because I'm working on a canvas, you can get more of the canvas texture, right? If you're working on a mixed media pad, it might be a little bit more smooth, so definitely don't press too hard, and that will help your texture be a little bit more textury. And then I'm gonna come into the water here and put some into the water. You don't have to do all the waves, and definitely go in and kind of dab off, otherwise it's gonna look like a stamp kind of, and you don't want it to have a stamp look. So make sure you kind of change up the pattern that happens naturally on the back of your palette knife. And the way you hold it, where you place it, kind of just pay attention to that a little bit. And pick where you want to put it. Don't just wipe it over the whole thing. Kind of be intentional when you pick your spots for your palette knife to work, okay? I think we're almost there, guys. It's like 2 minutes away. How's everyone's coming along? You can go back, you can watch this video again If you're not done when I'm done here in a minute, you can go back, you can rewind. It'll be loaded up in like a minute after I'm live. So you can always rewind, you can watch later, you can go grab a friend and say, hey, let's paint this together. Share it with a friend, say, hey, I had fun painting this and I think you might enjoy it. Or maybe you have a friend who has kiddos and they might enjoy painting this one. The kids love this sort of painting. They do have fun with this kind. So if you have any friends that have kiddos and they might enjoy painting, this is a great way for a little family paint night. They could even plan for it, like you can plan for it and say, Friday night, we're going to paint that sunset painting that Miss Ashley painted. We're going to do that as a family and we're going to have fun, darn it. You're going to, you could put together a whole little meal around it and a little family date. Make it into a family date night. You could, even if you have family far away, you could make it into a date night with family far away. Now I'll Zoom it together. Everyone has it on their Facebook together, and then you can Zoom with each other and paint together and chat and have fun. Turn my volume down and just enjoy it. Okay, Linz, I'm about done too. Had to stop to make dinner, so I'll work on this later. I texted you a great coconut picture. Thanks for the fun. Ooh, I have to talk to you too because you messaged me the other day. We'll chat. Okay, tomorrow. Have fun with dinner, Linz. All right. So, y'all, that I think is it for tonight's lesson. You're going to want to autograph your painting. So I'm going to do mine, I think, with a paint pen. Let me find a good one. Silver? No, that's too thick. So another thing for the kiddos is that paint pens are much easier for them to use for line work. So you may want to consider paint pens for the kiddos, okay? I know adults find them a lot easier too. So, anybody have any questions before we skedaddle? And there we have it. The autograph is on. It is done. The autograph. It's worth $1 million. Never. All right, let's see. Maybe one day. All right, does anybody have any questions before we go? This is kind of where we're at. If you're new to your brushes, you just put a little bit of dish soap in your hand and swoosh it around and clean it out. And that's how I wash my brushes, just with a little bit of dish soap in the sink. Palette knives, you can just wipe off. And you can wash them if you want to, but I do try to keep them nice and clean, so I scrape all the paint off. And all of this, I like using the tin foil. I just throw it all away. You're welcome, Karen. Karen says, so fun. Thanks, Ash. Oh, you're welcome, my friend. Thanks for joining me. You guys are awesome. I've had so much fun. That's where we're at. All right. So, you guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Let's go back up here. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time. If you know anybody else that would really enjoy it, then please, please, please sprinkle this out there to them and let them know. And just sprinkle, because it's the only way anyone knows about us. Oh, thanks for all the loves. Thanks, Mom. Mom says, nice job, kiddo. Thank you. All right, friends, if you have any questions and you get into the painting and you get lost and you're like, well, I don't understand why this isn't working, just send me a PM and I will help you as best I can. All right, guys, remember to post your paintings here on our page, on your page, and tag us, whatever you want, so we can cheer you on and say great job. Thanks for painting tonight, and I'll see you next time. Bye, friends.